Hi, and how are you getting on with social distancing? This idea of having to stay away from people, to stay in our homes, and even those times when we're out walking, to make sure that we stay away from people. I was out on a walk a few days ago, and we came across a man with his young daughter, and you could hear him say, "Stay away from those people." And it's good practice, it's what we're encouraged to do. But it's strange, it's difficult. And for those who are stuck in their homes and not able to get out, it can be really hard. But this isn't the first time this has happened. The first time I'm aware of it is a story, is an account in the Bible where rules are being given as to how we should how people with a particular disease, sometimes called leprosy, sometimes called a serious skin disease, should act. And we find in Leviticus 13 these words: "Those who suffer from a serious skin disease must tear their clothing and leave their hair uncombed. They must cover their mouth and call out, 'Unclean, unclean.' As long as the serious disease lasts, they will be ceremonially unclean. They must live in isolation in their place outside the camp." Severe social distancing. It's probably even worse than what we have, because it was clear, it was visible that they had this disease. There was something on their skin, it was probably white, it was affecting them, and people could see it. So there were those who were well, and there were those who had this particular disease, and they were the ones who had to distance themselves from society, to stay away from everybody else, to stay away from the clean people. And if they came across anybody, they had the responsibility to say, "Don't come near me. I am unclean." What an awful position to be in. It's like with this current virus, if everybody who had it had to walk around with a sticker on their forehead saying, "I've got the virus," and with a responsibility to warn people that they had to stay away. Imagine what that would be like. There'd be those who were okay, and they could just meet up, they could go to restaurants, they could go to cafes, they could go to work, they could just do things as normal. But whenever they came across these people with these stickers on their heads, they would shun them. They would say, "Stay away." It would be so awful. They'd be very much second-class citizens. We don't have that because there's no visible indicator unless you get symptoms. And so there's always this concern as to who is actually causing, who is actually carrying this virus. But in the days that this was written, with this skin disease, it was clear, and people were shunned. They had to distance themselves, and nobody who was well would spend time with them, would come into contact with them, would engage with them. But then there's this wonderful account in the New Testament where Jesus comes on the scene, and he meets somebody who is described as having an advanced case of leprosy. And we find this story in Luke chapter 5. And the man comes to Jesus, he bows down, he begs to be healed. He says, "Lord, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean." And you get this wonderful account. Jesus reached out and touched him. He goes on to say, "Yes, I can, I'm willing to do this. Be healed." And the man was healed, and he was well. But before he was healed, he experienced the touch of Jesus. He'd probably not been touched by a well person for years. And suddenly Jesus comes along and touches him and engages with him and blesses him, and is able to be restored into society. Today, if you're finding social distancing hard, if you're finding being isolated difficult, and we all do, Jesus still wants to come and offer that touch. and bring blessing and hope into your life. And as we receive that touch, let's be prepared to reach out in ways that are appropriate to those who are struggling, those who are shut in, and say, let me help, let me bless, let me be a presence of good in your life. Social isolation is hard. Jesus comes into that situation. Jesus blesses, and he encourages us to bless others.